I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but turns out everything that you thought you knew is actually a lie. We're not even living in 2025 right now. No, we're actually living 300 years in the past. I know. You're probably thinking, this chick's crazy, right? Well, what if I told you that that's just a theory? And it's one that was proposed by a historian back in the 90s. Oh, okay. I'm Sadie, and this is my new series, Crochet and Conspiracy Talk, where every week I would like to dive into a conspiracy or a conspiracy theory that I find fascinating and explore where it emerged from, why it persists, what kind of a role it plays in our society today. One thing that I've learned is that conspiracy theories have a little bit of a bad reputation, and maybe rightfully so. I mean, come on, there's a lot of outlandish claims out there, and a lot of people who take things a little bit too far. But one thing that I realized as I started researching is there's actually a fine line between conspiracy and conspiracy theory. And sometimes that line can get blurred, it seems. So I hope you'll join me as we dive in today's episode to look at the difference between a conspiracy and a conspiracy theory. And we'll explore a couple of examples of each. Then let's regroup and decide how we're feeling about this whole conspiracy thing anyways, okay? So let's start with the basics. What exactly is a conspiracy? Let's find out together. So a conspiracy is when a group of people work together to do something in secret, usually illegal or shady, hence the secrecy. And here's the kicker. It actually happened. It's really that easy, except not really, because in order for us to prove that it actually happened, there has to be solid evidence to back that up. And it has to be documented and accepted as historical fact. So easy enough definition-wise, but I mean, probably not always easy to prove, right? Okay, so conspiracy, group of people work together, do something shady, actually happened. Got it. Conspiracy theory, on the other hand, is similar, but it's more speculative. It's an idea. And no matter how widely believed, the kicker here is that there's no solid evidence to back it up. That means, again, no matter how many people believe in this theory or how few people, cannot be stated as fact if there's no evidence. It's not accepted as historical fact. It's not documented. It hasn't been proven. Okay. Again, easy enough. But clearly not easy enough to prove it happened, right? So we've got a conspiracy and we've got a conspiracy theory. But why exactly do conspiracy theories seem to continue to emerge, continue to persist? And what role exactly are they playing in our society? I think one of the best ways to maybe look at the power that conspiracies have on our society is maybe to go back and look at a conspiracy, one that actually happened. And when it did, it shook the foundation of American politics. Let's talk for a second about Watergate. Okay, so back in 1972, members of President Richard Nixon's administration were caught spying on their political opponents. It all started with a burglary at the National Democratic Committee in Washington, D.C., and the Watergate complex. All right. So these burglars were caught attempting to wiretap phones, trying to listen in on some conversations, and they were also caught trying to steal confidential documents. Okay. So it wasn't a good look. Obviously, that is some shady dealings that is frowned upon. And when the news broke, Nixon denied any involvement. He and his people were like, nah, not us. We would never. But thanks to two reporters, Carl Bernstein and Bob Woodward, they were able to prove, with the help of an anonymous source who went by the name of Deep Throat, which, don't get me started on that nickname, they were able to prove that Richard Nixon and his aides were not only involved in these illicit, illegal activities, they were also involved in trying to silence those who knew the truth. It was not a good look for Nixon and his administration. In fact, it was such a bad look that he was going to be impeached, but he decided to resign instead in 1974. That is a classic example of a true conspiracy. There was a group of people that worked together to carry out a plan in secrecy, and when the evidence came out, it was undeniable, okay? You could not say no. Well, I mean, because they tried. It didn't work. Okay? So, textbook conspiracy right there. And like I said, it kind of shook up America a little bit. Kind of got people asking. And it certainly proved that journalism, whistleblowers, they play an important role in our society in demanding transparency and allowing us to see what's going on behind the curtain from time to time. Right? Okay, so that's a true conspiracy. Now let's look on the other hand at a conspiracy theory, one that, in my opinion, is plausible, but there's no solid evidence to back it up. This refers to the time phantom hypothesis. Ever heard of it? I hadn't. But back in the 1990s, historian Herbert Illig proposed that we are actually living 300 years in the past. You heard that. We are living in the past, okay? And what this means is basically our timeline was completely manipulated. It's artificial, made up. He's proposing that three people quite literally work together to rewrite history. So the Holy Roman Emperor Otto III, Pope Sylvester II, and the Byzantine Emperor Constantine VII all would have worked together in this theory to rewrite history, specifically from 614 AD to 911 AD. And you're probably saying, okay, but like why? Why would they do that, right? At least that's what I asked. And it's pretty simple, actually. They wanted to legitimize Otto's claim to throne, and they also wanted to align some important historical events with Otto's rule. Basically, it would make it look like Otto ruled in the year 1000 AD instead of 700 AD. So it sounds kind of crazy, right? Like when I come to you and say, hey, we're living 300 years in the past, you probably think this chick's out of her mind. And I don't really blame you for that because honestly, I thought, no, that's impossible whenever I read it too. But I mean, let's just think for a second. We're talking about 611 AD, 914 AD. I mean, we don't really have amazing technology that could record keep every single change that happened, right? And the supporters of this theory point to some pretty good proof. They say there's inconsistencies in documents from that time, architecture. And, you know, they're saying that there's just not even a lot of documentation or even data from that time period anyway. So what's up with that? It could have all been destroyed. I mean, could be, right? Maybe. Did it happen? Probably not. Most historians dismiss this claim outright, saying there's plenty of documentation from that time, plenty of consistent evidence, not to mention astrological evidence that literally matches up with our timeline perfectly. So it's probably really 2025. We're probably not living 300 years in the past, but it sure makes you think, doesn't it? And that's kind of what conspiracy theories do. That's kind of what's fun about them, too. I mean, I hate to simplify it to this point, but that's kind of part of it, right? They're exciting. They take historical events or current events and they turn them into a mystery novel and we get to be the lead detectives in them. That's fun. But also, they're important. Remember, there have been some conspiracy theories that have turned out to be true. And whenever we demand transparency, sometimes we find out that just because the official story is the official story doesn't mean there's not more to it. Now, on the other hand, I am not suggesting that we, go around thinking that everything is a lie, everything's made up, everything's fabricated. The fact of the matter is that's probably not the case. Like I said before, there's a lot of science. There's a lot of scientific evidence. There's a lot of historical evidence to prove a lot of the things that we believe today. However, I think it is very important to have a healthy balance of skepticism and open-mindedness. Be open-minded, but not so open-minded that your brain just falls out of your head. So there you have it. We dove in to the difference between what a conspiracy is, what a conspiracy theory is, and we got to see 2 examples of each in the real world. I hope you enjoyed dipping your toe into the world of conspiracies with me, and I hope you'll join me next week as we dive in to a topic that, personally, I'm obsessed with. Aliens. Are they among us? Let me know what you think in the comments below. What's your favorite conspiracy theory? Or do you think all of this is just completely insane? I hope you'll hit that subscribe button so we can chat next week. Until we do, make sure you keep your stitches tight and your theories loose. Bye.